And we are live, everybody. What's going on? Welcome in today. I know we usually go live right around 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, but today had an amazing opportunity to go volunteer, had an amazing opportunity to go serve. So we're coming on a little bit later than we usually do today. It is what? It's 6:16 Central Standard Time, 6:16 p.m. So I just wanted to hop in and chime or plant this bug in your ear. Last night we all saw The Last Dance, episodes 7 and 8, I believe it was. I'm sure you all enjoyed it because I know I definitely did. The way they set it up, they know how to really leave us hanging, like cliffhangers galore. I've been seeing a lot of people comment. A lot of people really been loving the score, ultimately loving the sounds and the tracks and all that different stuff that people have been that the producers put together and the great job that they did with that. But today here, I wanted to just share with you 3 leadership lessons that I extracted basically from 3 quotes that Mike shared. Yes, it was a real emotional episode. Scenes that were shy, with him towards the end, and he's laid out on the ground and he's crying. And I saw a lot of different tweets. Some people were saying, well, he's not even allowed to be just an athlete. Others were saying, come on, man, just allow him to be a human being. So today I wanted to just share 3 quotes that Mike shared last night. And I want to just put them out there, want to break them down, discuss them a little bit. And then I want you to go and continue to enjoy the rest of the evening with your family. That sound good? I hope it does. Great, great, great. And once again, everybody, welcome in. I would encourage you to share this, to retweet it, to put it out there in the Twitter sphere and wherever else you may be, because I think this will really encourage some people. And ultimately, anybody who is a part of a team, anybody who is the coach of a team, anybody who is the teams really add value to you as well, because this is another leadership lesson. And we've created a playlist on YouTube just so that you can continue to have these leadership lessons as a resource to serve and support your team, serve and support your players, and even the coaches that you all have on staff. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So the first quote I want to share here is going to be this quote right here. And that quote was, where we at? Boom, share. Whoa, we're going to go back here. Okay, let me go ahead and get the quote, because the first one really spoke to me in a big way. And the first quote was this. It was, I wanted to win, and I wanted them to be a part of that as well. He said, that's how I played the game. Then don't. Understanding that Michael Jordan was an extremely gifted individual. There's no doubt about it. Many of us who know his actual story know that he was actually cut from his, I believe, freshman team or JV team. So understand that if Michael Jordan was cut from his JV team, and then now he's able to get to this level to where he's demanding a level of greatness or expecting a level of greatness from others who are ultimately a part of his team, right? Here it is. Mike said this right here. He said, I wanted to win, and I wanted them to be a part of that as well. That's how you play the game. If you don't want to play the game that way, then don't. My friends, ultimately, what I think Mike is saying is that he has the highest level of respect for the game of basketball. He has the highest level of dedication. If you watched the series last night, you also heard Ahmad Rashad. You also heard a few other people say that Mike wanted to give it his all, because if there was anyone who happened to be seeing him for the first time, he did not want to disappoint them. He did not want a child who was excited about going to see him, a family who was potentially coming to go see him. He didn't want them to be let down and say, oh, Mike didn't give it his full effort. I mean, I came, I spent my hard-earned money, I worked for it. And then Mike just didn't show up. The first thing I want to share with you is, what is your commitment to? we're talking just true lessons here, life lessons. It's leadership lessons, but it's life lessons. What are you truly committed to, right? Because sometimes we say, I'm going to go to that party. I'm going to go to that birthday. And then for some reason, and then we don't end up doing what we said we would do. So I want you to begin to think, what is your commitment to? Right? What's your commitment to? Because if you're a coach, then your commitment should be to your team. If you're a player, then your commitment could be to your team. It could be to your fans. It could be to whoever is out there watching and whoever is counting on you, whoever saved up their money wanting to come see you. If you're a man or a woman, your commitment could be to your partner. If you're in a relationship. So what Michael Jordan was committed to the game of basketball. But what's your commitment to? Because I want us to remember and always allow this to be in the forefront of our minds. If we never allow ourselves to be committed to anything, anyone, or any particular task, that always makes it easy to quit. What if you're a player in the game? If you're a player in the game, then Dave, I think the biggest thing, if you're a player in the game, I think the biggest thing is your commitment should be to, your fans. It could be to your family because, somebody like you might want to be competing so that you can provide for your family. So therefore, that's where I would say your commitment would be to. Who would you say that you're committed to, Dave? Are you committed to your family, wanting to perform for your fans? Or because I want us to always remember that, because if we commit to ourselves, a lot of people be like, John, I'm committed to myself. Well, if you don't feel like working out, then you won't. If you don't feel like going and doing certain responsibilities, then you won't, because we let ourselves down on a daily basis. I'll be the first one to say it. But on the other side of that, then it's like, well, how else can we continue to be consistent? Well, what game are we talking about, Dave? You're not talking about that game. What game are we talking about? So yeah, I want us definitely to begin to always remember, who are we committed to, right? What's your commitment to? That's the first principle from one of the things that MJ shared with us just last night. The second quote that I want to share, is this one right here. Let's take that one down. Yeah, the second quote is this one right here. It said, if you don't understand what it's like to be in the trenches, you won't know how to respond when the war starts. Mike, he said, if you don't understand, I'm going to show the quote one more time. He said, if you don't understand what it's like to be in the trenches, you won't know how to respond when the war starts. One more time for my people in the back, okay? If you don't understand what it's like to be in the trenches, then you won't understand how to respond when the war starts. Like only Michael Jordan can, right? We talked about first, what's your level of commitment? Like, what are you committed to? Because we're talking about leadership lessons, life leadership lessons. What are you committed to? The second thing is this. What are you willing to sacrifice What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to sacrifice? Michael Jordan is talking about the trenches. And when I think about the trenches, I think of battle. I think of war. I think of what they used to talk about, talking about the olden times of war. And I think they used to call it something like guerrilla war, like that. And that was just a rugged type deal where individuals would be positioning themselves for battle. Each and every individual who is out here, we all want something out of our lives. And understanding that we want something, the question I have for you is, what are you willing to sacrifice? Michael Jordan was talking about the fact of, if you don't know how to be prepared for the battle, you won't know how to be in the trenches. I often heard people who are in the service refer to it like this, that they say, if I was down in a foxhole, I wouldn't want this guy to be in there with me. Plain and simply put, that means if I'm in a tough situation, I want somebody to have my back that I can trust. What are you willing to give up? Because the first thing we're talking about commitment. Now we're talking about sacrifice, right? And then I want to give you this last quote, and then I want to go just a little bit deeper, and then we'll get ready to maybe wrap up. Definitely want to open it up for question and answer if anybody happens to have any questions, because I want you definitely to leave with some applicable information. Like I said, because the documentary has been really good to me. And the thing, I didn't know if I shut it. That does that. Okay, there we go. Yeah. And the thing that really stuck out to me was this one right here. Mike said, winning has a price. Leadership has a price. He said, I pulled people when they didn't want to be pulled. I pushed people when they didn't want to be pushed. But understanding that leadership has a price. That's why I asked the last question, what are you willing to sacrifice? My last question is this right here. Who are you leading? And I just want to ask who you're leading, plain and simply because if you're not leading anyone, then maybe we need to be in a position to follow first. Not maybe. We need to be in a position to follow first, because we can truly never learn how to lead if we never allow ourselves to be the follower. The first thing we talked about was talking about your commitment. Where does your commitment lie? What are you committed to? Who are you committed to? And even why are you committed to that person? Second thing, what are you willing to sacrifice? And lastly, my friends, plain and simply as I can put it, who are you leading? Who are you leading? Because, I mean, we can't talk about Michael Jordan without mentioning Phil Jackson. And Phil Jackson is arguably one of the greatest coaches of all time, hands down. He's easily up there. And thinking about Phil being a coach, taking all of these personalities, putting them together, and making something beautiful, like throwing it all in the pot and then creating jambalaya, not jambalaya, but creating gumbo. Well, it could have been jambalaya also. I want you to begin just to think for a second. When it comes down to your commitment, are you committed to your team? If you're in the trenches, are you committed to leading the people that you said you were going to lead, even when you don't like them, even when they upset you, even when certain people get on your nerves? Because I've been there, right? If you've ever been a part of any team, I was a part of a basketball team, and there are sometimes the coach made me mad. There were some times we were ready to fight in practice. I'm talking about me and my other teammates. And the craziest thing was we still ended up winning a championship because we got a level of understanding because we all were committed to the same purpose. Our team's motto was one family, one goal. And focusing on that, that was when we started honing. We know what we need to do in order for us to get to where we're trying to go. My friends, we all need some form of a coach. We all need someone to help guide us. Michael Jordan was that leader. He was that coach on the floor. He was that man that some people looked up to. They didn't always agree with his style, but they knew one thing. If Mike is in the boat, we have a chance of winning. Today, I just want to drop that leadership lesson on you. Just a few takeaways that I took from the last dance. My friends, my name is Jonathan Jones, and I partner with colleges and universities by way of serving student athletes, assisting them as they transition through these up and these downs and these all down turns of life. If there's any way I can serve and support you, feel free to send an email to info@jonathanjonespeaks.com, or even just follow me, Jonathan J Speaks. Type that in any social platform and I will come up. I would love to hear from you, love to connect with you and see how I best can serve and support you and your student leaders. Until tomorrow, my friends, we're going to see about getting that time back. We're going to see about getting in right there at our noon slot like we usually do. But until then, I hope you're well, hope you're safe, hope you continue to stay committed, to keep sacrificing, and lastly, keep leading, my friends, because that's what it's all about. That's how legacy is created. That's how culture is created. And those things can only be clear. Take care, my friends, and I will see you tomorrow for another leadership lesson session